Senator, what was the point of today's meeting about? I know you're on a kind of a tour right now across the state talking. What has been the message you've been speaking out predominantly?
Yeah, well, I don't take a show of hands, so it's hard to quantify what you say, but I think that we had significant, at least with the questions that were asked, we had people that came here with the idea that they do support the public option. We had as many people that said contrary-wise that they don't want the government in more. And then in a broader range other than just health care, I think we've had a situation where people have expressed some fear of government. And then, of course, you have people that say, look at Medicare, look at the VA programs. And then they say, well, those are government-run programs. Maybe you shouldn't be so hard on the government. But I think you got to think in terms of these large turnouts at the town meetings, not being just a healthcare turnout, even though that's where most of the questions come from. I think people see this in light of the stimulus package not working, the Federal Reserve printing money and shoveling it out the window. They see big increases in appropriations. They see a $4 trillion budget and nationalizing General Motors and the banks. And people think the federal government's taking over everything. So they come to these meetings and talk about health care, but it's just like health care is the straw that broke the camel's back to raise their concerns about what is the future of our country. People are fear that we're going down the wrong road to preserve our country as we've known it for 230 years.
Senator, you've taken a bit of heat about being part of this committee of six from some of your own on the Republican side. What is your thoughts about being a part of this process?
Well, I think I have an obligation to be part of the process. Several reasons. One, whenever health care is studied and Iowa's low in reimbursement on Medicare, it seems to me like I ought to be there protecting Iowa's interest. The second thing is that I'm a member of the Republican Party, and the Republicans are in a minority now because we didn't satisfy the people over the last 3 or 4 years, and so we were booted out of a majority. And we ought to we ought to be concerned about our minority status. How can we become a majority? It seems to me that you don't become a majority by just ignoring problems. It seems to me that members of the minority have a responsibility to either work in a bipartisan way, or if we can't reach a bipartisan agreement, to have a responsible alternative. And the other thing is just common sense. If you want to know what's going on, it's better off to be in the room than outside the room. So I would think that Republicans would want a Republican in the room when it deals with health care, because if the Democrats pass what they want and we get more government control of health care, Republicans are going to be in a majority even with the president down the road a little ways, and we're not going to overturn what's in place.
Do you have a feeling for, based on the meetings that you've held to this point, what the constituents are saying about this program? And is there anything overwhelming one way or another, or is it pretty balanced depending on where you go?
Well, at my town meetings, but I wouldn't want to draw a conclusion just from my town meetings because there's other congressmen and senators, and I think I have to look at both Republican and Democrat analysis of it. But I think in mine, I'm finding opposition to a public option, and it's the most controversial thing we're dealing with. But there's a lot of other concerns that are expressed as well. But on that one, it's the most controversial one.